Hey, welcome guys. So I wanted to go over a couple of the games that we got in our math packets. So Miss Phelps, Miss Levitt, and I wanted to share some of our favorites. We wanted to do one of the basic games, maybe a middle game, and then one of the more advanced games. Okay, so our first game is the place value number battle. This is on page 11 of your packet if you want to follow along. Okay, you need 2 people to play. In your deck of cards, it says that you need to remove all the face cards and the 10s. Okay, so we gotta remove those. So right here, I took out all my 10s. This deck, I had already taken out all the face cards, but you should have the 9s, the 8s, the 7s, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then aces. It says ace is worth 1. Okay, so now with that, I'll shuffle it up. But you can see that the skill we're working on is number recognition, place value, order, and sequencing. Okay, so always looking at being able to recognize numbers. Place value is really important with knowing which number is in which value. What is the value of each number if we pulled it apart? Okay. So what we'll do, how to play. Players split a deck of cards and simultaneously flip over their top 3 cards to create a 3-digit number. Players may move the cards and place in any position of the number they wish. Oh, that's interesting. So, I'm gonna back out just a little bit. Set this to the side. So I gotta split the deck, so
just put a little bit of this. I didn't shuffle great, but it'll be okay. You can also just eyeball it and split the deck, but I like it to be really even.
Alright, so this will be player 1, and this will be our player 2. And with that, we have to flip over each card. So this player 1's gonna flip over, they got a 7, then they got another 7, and a 4, okay? Now the next player flips over their cards. They got a 3, an 8, and a 4, okay? Now the rules said that each player could move their cards, their 3 cards, into the hundreds, tens, or ones place so that they could win. So, if I were the player 2 here, I would definitely take my 8 and put it in the 800s spot. And it really wouldn't matter where I put this one. If I wanted the biggest number, I'd do 43, but I could leave it 34 because player 1 only has 7s. So the highest they can go is 700. And so, based on this, the instructions say the highest number wins all 6 cards. Okay, so what this player would do, player 2 would win this round. So they would collect all 6 cards. And I assume, based on the rules, that you want to gain as many cards as you can. So it goes under their deck, just like that, and then you start the round over. So player 1 pulls a 6, 2, and a 6. So they might shuffle theirs to maybe 662. And this one, they got an 8, and a 4. Well, there you go. Player 2 got it again. So they collect the cards, player 2 gets all the cards, okay? And it repeats. Okay, so that one's pretty simple. You're really working on figuring out place value and seeing where you should put your highest cards. So I like that you can move the cards. You don't just have to flip them where they ended up. You can move them to say, oh, well, I have an 8 at the very end. I'm going to put that in the hundreds column to make it even more, make the worth even more. It does say, note that you can increase the number of cards to flip if you are working on larger numbers. So for 5th graders, you could do thousands, 10,000s, things like that. So if you wanted to, you could do 9 and flip over 4 cards each. If I have room. 4, there we go. So that would be their first one. And then this one, they got a 9 too. So this is going to go into the hundreds. So this player might shuffle and create 9,000. Oh, I'm kind of reading these backwards, but I'm going to put the 9 over here. There we go. Much better. 9,431. But this person looks like they could do 9,976. So again, player 2 would have taken it just because they have a higher place value in the hundreds place. They did match in the thousands place. Okay. Alright, so there's game number 1. Alright guys, game number 2 I'm going to show is multiplication number battle, and this is on page 16 here. So, this one I like. First thing, we need 2 players and a deck of cards. I got mine here. it does say face cards are worth 10, aces are worth 1 or 11. It does say teacher decides, but if the teacher's not there, just agree with one another before the game starts. You got to choose. I would suggest for 5th grade, we should be doing 11s because it's multiplication. We know how to multiply 11s. Okay, we're working on number recognition and multiplication. All right, first thing, I'm going to shuffle my deck here.
Just because I know that order. Good shot.
Then it says 2 players split a deck of cards and simultaneously flip over their 2 cards. So when you guys play, I would divvy out, 1, 2, 1, 2 until the deck is gone. But for this, I'm just going to split for time's sake. And now you flip the 2 cards. You need to verbally say, like the example here, it would be 3 times 10. Remember, face cards are worth 10, is 30. Then the second player would flip theirs and it would be 10 times 8 is 80. Okay, then whoever won gets to collect the cards. Okay, the highest product wins all 4 cards. So again, this game, you're trying to collect all the cards. Okay, if the cards products have the same value, the cards are placed in a center pile. The next hand is played normally, and the winner of the next multiplication number battle takes the center pile as well. So if your product was the same, then you would get to take that center pile. So here's our 2 piles. Let's say this player pulled 6 and 10. So I would say as player 1, I would say 6 times 10 equals 60. Then second player goes 2 and 7. They would say 2 times 7 is 14. Obviously 60 is a lot bigger than 14. So player 1 would collect cards and put them on bottom of their deck. Then we would go again. Boom. Boom. 10 times 3 is 30. Player 2. 7 times 9 is 63. Well, 63 beats 30 for sure. Okay? So they collect it. Alright? Now, just remember, if there was a center pile because they were the same product, remember they would do their 24 and their next one 50. So player 2 would collect all these cards and the center cards for that game. Alright, the last game I'm going to go over is the last one in your packet, which is called Give Some Percent. And this is on page 59. So I'll go ahead and read through these instructions first. You could do a group of 2 or more. So this would be a fun one for a small group or even a large group. With your deck of cards, ace is worth 11, jack 12, queen 13, king is worth 14, and you might want some scratch paper just to keep track or actually do the math. So how to play: shuffle the cards and place the deck face down in the center of the table so you're not splitting the deck. Decide on a percent for the first game. For example, let's use 50%. So you guys actually choose the percentage that you're working with. Okay? Turn over the top card. Players race to find the given percentage, in this example it's 50, of the value of the card. Let's say it's a 4 of spades, as shown here. The first player that can give a correct answer wins the card. In this example, 50% of 4, the answer would be 2. Okay, play until the deck or time runs out. The player with the most cards wins. In the case of an odd number, have students use decimals or fractions to represent the answer. So if you did have an odd number and you need to do 50%, you'd need to do either 5.5 or 5 5/10 or 5 1/2. Okay, allow the winner of each round to determine the percent used for the next round. So winner gets to choose the next percentage. Okay, so as an example, I take my deck of cards, I place it in the middle. Player 1, or actually any player, will flip the card, and then everybody will say, what's 50% of 2? Well, everybody's trying to figure it out in their head. So the first person that yells out 1 would get to keep this card. The first person. Okay, so that would go to that player. Let's say it was this player. Okay, the next one. 2 again. So everyone, or the first player that would yell out 1 would go to that player. Okay, next card. 3. Okay, here's an example of where we would have to use fractions or decimals. So 50% of 3 basically means half of 3. Well, if someone said 1 1/2, that would be correct, or 1.5 would also be correct. So let's say that player said 1 1/2. Okay, this player, remember 10, if we look back, is 13. Now this one also is an odd number. So we could say the first player that says 6 1/2 would get that card. Okay, let's say this player won and the time ran out, or the deck of cards ran out. So this player, since they have 2, would win, trying to get the most cards. Okay, so that's really all you need to know for give some percent.